what happens is, I think a lot of people, they point to leadership, right? They point to leadership and like, what are we going to do about it? I mean, honestly, I mean, we're people too. We're not everybody's mom. You know, today's day and age with the kind of rates that people are making, and, you know, people want to be treated like an adult until they have to do adult things, right? Then all of a sudden they want to act like teenagers again, right? They want someone else to take care of the problem. Literally, they'll come to the leadership and say, well, can you go talk to them? I can go talk to them if I'm the guy that you're coming to, but should I be the one talking to that person? Right. And I don't think that's always the case, because that means that person's just hiding, right? That's really what's happening. You're just hiding. So Autumn, I got a question for you. So specifically around calling people out on their actions instead of bottling it up, right? Because what happens when we bottle it up? We hold it in, then we're like a volcano, we explode, right? You know, you want to go grab a gun, start shooting everybody. You know, this is, you know, but I understand that guy, right? That guy that went into the post office and freaked out. Like, I'm not saying what he did was right, but I understand it, right? I understand the frustration and the just like actually going insane for a minute and just wanting to yell at the top of your lungs, right? I get it. So talk to me a little bit about, you know, what happens when you bottle it up, and if you don't release it, and what happens when you release it.
Yeah, so when you are bottling up all those feelings, it just like it builds. Like I've been a victim of that. I've done that myself. I've done it to other people. Like, and I know what it's like to be on both sides. However, if you're not telling people what they don't know, how are they supposed to know? They're not mind readers. Like they don't read your mind. So, I mean, not talking about something in the workplace, what is that going to do for you? When you don't have respect for someone, the only way to gain respect is by calling them out. You have to call people out to get your point across sometimes. I mean, as annoying as it is, especially doing it with older adults or people your age, it's just like, why do it? Why have to deal with it when you could just not hide? You can just be honest, be real. That's all it is. It's all it takes.
Wow, that's incredible. Sierra, you had made a comment too that I want you to share with everybody. And you said that, you know, we all have feelings, right? But those feelings can get affected by other coworkers' attitudes. So for instance, you walk in you know, say you walk in the morning and you're feeling really good, right? You're feeling like, hey, today's going to be a really good day, right? And then person X over there comes in and they're in a shitty mood, right? And they're snapping and banging and slamming things and making little talk to me about how that weighs on you, you know, and you know, now what happens to the way you just felt when you walked in. That, you know, does it bruise it? Does it take it away? You know, do you want to say, hey, enough, I'm staying in this frame because I like where I am right now? Like, talk to me about that.
Yeah, there are times where I've come in trying to be more cheerful, even though like maybe I'm not having the best day, but I try not to take it out on other people, or I communicate when I'm not having such a good day. But some people don't, and it can be taken very personally because you know you haven't, in your mind, you haven't done anything wrong. Like you're having in your mind what's a good day, but for them it could be bad, and they, you know, don't see how that's affecting you when you're constantly being battered over and over again. It kind of will bring you down, feel very negative when you came in cheerful, and then immediately you just get hit with comments and negative energies, because I'm very much a person that kind of other people's moods will affect mine. Like if a bunch of people are upbeat and happy, even though I might in the beginning of the day might have been happy, like those upbeat energies make me feel better and feel good about myself. But if there's a lot of people just having a bad day, more on the negative side, just not really having it, like I kind of more will gravitate towards that, and like I will get more on the irritated side, and I start not feeling so happy myself.
Well, there's a comment that you made that was so powerful. I actually wrote it down before even reaching out to you guys and asking you to do this today, because this one was like, I was just like, I heard actually music and there was light in the sky when I heard you say this. You said by addressing the issue yourself without relying on someone else, it shows growth. And I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Talk to me about that, because that was a really amazing comment that you made.
Yeah, a lot of people do go to you, for example, to go to an upper hand to get assistance with an issue because they might not want to address it themselves or they don't know how. Some people are younger and they just might need the guidance, or some people who are older were maybe just never taught those skills, but they need like an upper hand. But as an upper hand, you don't necessarily want to be dealing with that all the time. You can't be everybody's counselor and teacher and dealing with all these issues when you have issues of your own. And if it's more of an individual one, something personally going on between one another, you're not going to necessarily know the full story and know like what's going on and how things may get miscommunicated. And the issue that was, say, on a scale from 1 to 5, say it was a 2 before, now it's at a 4 because of the miscommunication. It's better to go and directly address the issue, and that shows that you're more mature. You can deal with things in your own way without necessarily needing that guidance.
You know, I have a coach and he talks all the time. His name's Garrett White, and he talks about the reason why we're all here, right? The reason why we're here doing everything we're doing. And it's all about us growing and expanding all the time, right? And when I heard that comment, that's the bucket I put it in. I was like, that's amazing. Autumn, I want to ask you a question about, you had a situation that happened where something triggered you, right? You had a situation where, there was someone that had a problem, right? Or had a medical issue, and then someone made a comment about it and it just triggered you, right? And I want you to talk about that, because what I think is that there's people out there, and this goes right to the workplace drama place. This is negative in part of the fact that, someone is targeting some negativity or hate stuff towards somebody. But I don't think they do it with that in mind. I think they do it because they think it's cool. They think it's fun. They think it'll make everybody laugh, right? But they don't really understand that, to go to what Sierra said, that it hurts, right? Their feelings, right? I mean, you're talking about a shortcoming someone has, right? Can you talk to me a little bit about the situation, and then a little bit about how it made you feel and what the triggers that were going off in your mind when you went through this?
Yeah, so when I dealt with it, I was at work, I just walked in, it was like 6:30 in the morning. Everything was rushed. Friday, always a busy day. Like, we get orders coming in, we get this going on. Everyone's stressed usually. We always got something big happening. And, the newer girl, she was a little overworked, overwhelmed, had a lot going on in her mind. I don't blame her. You're kind of thrown in, you're not doing it for a while. I'd be the same way. And as the day goes on, she has like a issue, and this girl decides.
Well, what's her issue? She's got like a tick or something,
So
right?
yeah, so she has Tourette's, and those aren't easy to control. What else was she supposed to do? The girl's innocent. I mean, maybe, yeah, not everybody knows, and that's okay. Not everybody's supposed to know. But this girl, we called her Karen before. She was the one to come out and say something over the headset, which is even worse. And called her Tweety Bird. I'm like, okay.
Because the girl, one of her ticks was to whistle or something, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So she was like, yeah. So like, when's Tweety Bird leaving? I'm like, what did you just say? I'm like, you called her. I'm like, can you repeat what you called her one more time for me? She goes, Tweety Bird. And I'm like, why would you say that? I'm like, I wouldn't even say that to a random stranger out walking on the street, let alone somebody who may or may not have been a friend, a good coworker. You don't say those things. I'm like, I don't understand. So she went quiet, didn't say anything, and then walks over to another coworker, is like whispering about me and over here and over there. And I'm like, what is your problem? I'm like, I don't get it. So the day goes on, doesn't really say anything, doesn't even look twice past me, leaves, doesn't even say bye. And then late that night, I get text messages. She's drinking and smoking the cigarettes on the back deck and doing whatever she does on her, Friday afternoon. All this stuff, all this like drunken nonsense about I couldn't even tell you what. But just so you know, like, I would never do this and never say this. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm upset about it. Yes, I'm upset because that's just something you don't say about a person, especially in a workplace. That's inappropriate. So why does that have to, like, that's not right. You don't say that. You wouldn't say that to a stranger walking by you, and this is going to be here, out of all people, some girl that you just met that you literally don't know. So I'm like, I don't understand why that's it. And I was like, explain why I was upset. She kept going on, back and forth. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, apparently we can't be adults about this. I'm really trying to respect you, respect what you have going on. I'm like, but this, at the end of the day, it's not a competition of who has it worse. I'm like, it's the fact that you don't say these things, whether you know them or not, whether you've known them for 20 years or not, whether they're your best friend, they're your child, it doesn't matter. You don't make a comment on something you're uninformed on. That's just it.
I have a comment that I want to make about this, but I want to
Mm.
ask you a question about boundaries, right? Because this is something
Right.
when you were upset about this, you said to me,
Mm.
talked about, boundaries with time and boundaries, when you're at home, and this
Right.
person, disrupting your evening with all of this shenanigans. Talk to me about
Right.
that a little bit.
So it's like 7 o'clock at night. I'm just trying to have a good night with my daughter, and spend time before I have to get up nice and early the next day. And she's texting me at 7 o'clock at night. And then I remember she's texting you and, chatting it up with everyone, like, oh, like that's it. Like, why? Like, why does this? I want to have a good time with my family. I want to be able to, go to bed in the good mood that I was in all day.
So, but that's the thing. I don't think people realize, like, there becomes a point in time where, you're at work, right? And you do the things you need to do. And then you go home and you want to do the things that you need to go at home, do at home. But then there's people out there that just, they can't let anything go, right? They can't give you that space and that, in your words, boundaries. Because I wouldn't have called it boundaries, but I like calling it boundaries because, people shouldn't be bothering you while you're at home, unless it's an emergency or something like that. But that's like a one-off, right? That's not an every single night, every single Tuesday. I bother Autumn at 7 o'clock at night. This is the kind of stuff I don't think people understand. They don't understand the impact, right? Especially people that have families and kids, and they work too, right? When you're home, that's actually your first job. The workplace is your second job, right? That's your first job when you got kids. So now, just want to give you guys a little bit of kind of aftermath of the situation. Is this lady ended up quitting, and that's fine. So I had a decision to make, and I could have fixed it. I could have called her, but I decided not to. And I'll tell you why. Because, this person, in my opinion, is what I call a culture killer. And really what we do in our restaurant, and remember that my restaurant is a case study to prove my SMART system and that it works. And I'm after two major things. I'm after getting people to care, right? I want people to care, and I want people to stop lying. Now, we do 96,000 things to accomplish that, but that's really what we're after. And this is the big problem we have in the retail and restaurant industry today, is that a lot of people lie. They do not do what they say. They say one thing, they do another. And people generally do not care anymore. And care affects every single aspect of everything that they do. So when this lady did what she did, I made a decision. And the decision was, it's time to cut the cord, right? Let her go. Maybe she, can take exactly what she's doing somewhere else, right? And if they're not equipped to handle that, maybe they should give me a call and we'll figure out how to help them. But so, this negativity in the workplace, it's bad, right? Because you don't come to work to feel miserable. You don't come to work to have to, you don't want to dread this stuff, right? I want our environment to be a place where people love coming to work, right? So that means we have to make decisions along the way. Sometimes they're hard, sometimes they're teaching, sometimes they're hard conversations, right? And that's just what we have to do. Now, this particular lady, the only thing that comes to my mind, and I don't want to, attack someone, but when you're doing this kind of stuff, you're, making fun of people because you think it's funny, right? You're texting people at 7 o'clock at night. I don't know. All I can see is an adult child. And I don't know if you guys I'm probably aging myself when I say this, but there was a cartoon and there was this guy called Baby Huey. He was like a big adult that actually dressed in a diaper, and he was like a little baby crying. And that's what I see when I see this, an adult child. And there are so many people out there in every single industry, thousands of them. If you're a restaurant owner listening to this right now, think about how many people on your current team do this to you every day, doing this to your teams. Now you're seeing the perspective from two people behind the line of fire in the mud every day. So guys, thank you so much. I so appreciate you being here. I hope I can have you guys back on again. This was great today. I really appreciate your time. So everybody else, before we take off, I want you to do three things. I just put up two fingers. I meant three fingers, three things. I want you to like this podcast. I want you to hit subscribe, and I want you to hit the notification bell, because these are the conversations you need to hear. And by hitting that notification bell, you'll be able we'll let you know every time we put one of these awesome conversations up. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.